war is coming.
When the stakes are this high, it takes a master and an apprentice to defeat our enemy.
What makes someone ready?
You just know.
Keep your lid on, Chop.
You felt it. We all have. There's just a generational impact that Star Wars has had on my and so many families across the world. When I think of how much I loved it as a kid, to actually have the Montrals on, the Leku, and the costume, it just feels magical. When I watched The Mandalorian with my mom and I say, "May the Force be with you," she literally did like a slow turn towards me with tears in her eyes. I feel grateful to be a part of something so truly iconic. Getting to play Ahsoka has been an absolute dream come true. Very personal, and it's my honor to be Ahsoka. Her bravery, her passion, her power. Ahsoka is truly one of a kind.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my new Ahsoka trailer video. There's a whole bunch of new footage, Easter eggs, and the big surprise is the Star Wars people are going to air the episodes a day early now. Now episodes every week are going to air on Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific time. I'll be doing episode videos for all of them, so if you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get those, and I'll try to post those as soon as I can on Tuesday nights, at least by Wednesday mornings early. They're dropping the first 2 episodes back to back, so like my episode 1 video will probably post on Tuesday night later, and then my episode 2 video will post Wednesday morning earlier, and that's Pacific time. We'll do some special kind of giveaway during the episode videos too. There's a couple cool Star Wars things I have left to give away. Based on all the early reviews, it sounds like the series is going to be pretty solid, which is awesome, but just starting at the beginning of the trailer footage, working our way through shot by shot, talking about Easter eggs, WTF moments, the Anakin Skywalker of it all, the Luke Skywalker, Grogu, Mandalorian. Focusing on the brand new footage, it starts with Ahsoka talking to Sabine after she's brought her back, like after their big reunion where she tells her what's going on with Thrawn coming back and the possibility of finding Ezra. The big thing here is the way they use the dialogue. Like they cut a couple different scenes together, so it's kind of janky, just cutting a bunch of different parts of episodes together where she says, "When the stakes are this high, it takes a master and an apprentice." They did this in the previous trailers too, where they said a new Jedi will rise, and it was meant to be a reference to Sabine Wren. So a lot of people had questions about this. Does this mean that Sabine Wren is now Force sensitive? Because they were very ambiguous about it during Star Wars Rebels. She wielded the Darksaber, and when Kanan was trying to teach her about it, Kanan Jarrus was trying to give her lessons, said that she had problems connecting with the Force because of her past trauma.
Look, Sabine is a capable warrior, in some ways more so than Ezra, but she can't or won't find balance within herself. Until she does, wielding an actual lightsaber is far too dangerous for her.
A lot of people took that to mean that she wasn't Force sensitive because you can wield the Darksaber without being Force sensitive, like Bo-Katan Kryze is not Force sensitive, she used the Darksaber just fine. What I think they were doing at the time is that Dave Filoni just didn't want to address Sabine being Force sensitive, like it wasn't meant to be a big story arc during that series, it was just more focused on the Darksaber and the history of the Mandalorians around the Darksaber. A little while ago when he was doing interviews for the series, he said that he would change a couple things about the Rebels and the Clone Wars series, like the canon would change just like a minor bit, and this might have been what he was talking about. Like, remember when we weren't really sure whether or not Sabine Wren was Force sensitive? Well, we're saying that she's always been Force sensitive, and at least now in present day, as much trauma as she has, she doesn't have so much trauma that she can't connect with the Force. Now, it is possible for people to wield lightsabers without being Force sensitive. They're just not quite as good at it, and you could train someone how to fight with a lightsaber who wasn't Force sensitive. But if they weren't going to make her Force sensitive during this series, why would they use such specific terminology like Jedi, Apprentice, Master? Why would they keep comparing Sabine and Ahsoka to Ahsoka and what happened with Anakin being her master? A lot of questions about that too, like Anakin never actually became a Jedi Master, so a lot of people are like, why are they saying that in the trailer? Why are they marketing it in that way? My assumption when it comes to that is that Dave Filoni also, like he said, he's changing the backstory just a little bit, is that he's retconning in some of this Anakin-Ahsoka stuff. Like, there'll be a couple moments during the series that will mostly reference stuff from the Clone Wars, so it'll be similar to the Clone Wars or like Star Wars Tales of the Jedi when you saw a couple scenes with them together as well. And there'll be at least a few moments that might conflict with some plot points in the prequels. If you've been a Star Wars fan for a long time, this kind of continuity issues aren't a brand new thing. Like if you watch the Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels, Tales of the Jedi, all the modern Mandalorian stuff, there've been all kinds of weird continuity issues that have popped up over the years, and usually it's a little bit of hand-waving behind the scenes, and Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, even George Lucas kind of saying, you know what, we thought of a better idea, so we're going to do it this new way. This isn't meant to be like a Disney thing where a bunch of executives are making them change the canon. Dave Filoni himself is like, I wrote all these characters, I created most of this stuff, so I'm going to tune things a little bit for live action, and this is the way it's going to be going forward. So at least without more episodes, like without having seen the entire series, I'm going to say right now that they'll just say that Sabine Wren has always been Force sensitive. The other thing most of you may have noticed in the previous trailers is that the green lightsaber she's using is actually Ezra Bridger's former lightsaber, so that might wind up working into a big story twist later when they actually find Ezra in the flesh. A lot of theories about what's going on with that because later in the trailer you see more of that fight that Ahsoka has with Marrok, and then I'll talk about the other clip in a second too. The other thing about the Master and Apprentice defeating enemies terminology, like the dialogue they use in this, is meant to be a reference to Baylan Skoll and his apprentice Shin Hati on the other side of things. One of the big things they're carrying forward from Grogu's storyline, like all of Ahsoka and Grogu's scenes in previous seasons of The Mandalorian as well as Book of Boba Fett, is the idea that the two of them are basically like the future of the Jedi. I'm not sure what they're going to do long-term with Baylan Skoll's character. Originally, they probably had bigger plans for Ray Stevenson, but he just passed away, so rest in peace. They might wind up recasting the character, but they haven't really done that a lot on the Star Wars live-action series so far. The idea, though, is that he is pursuing his own path through the Force. It just happens to be diametrically opposed to Ahsoka's path through the Force and Grogu's path. But the whole idea is that you have all these different people. You have dark Jedi, you have light side Jedi, or more light-leaning Jedi like Ahsoka and Grogu, who all of them leave behind the classic traditional Jedi teachings that Luke Skywalker is now representing. Luke Skywalker's like the only person in this equation who's trying to reform the Jedi Order using the traditional Jedi teachings of the classic order. I'm sure at some point during these upcoming seasons of all these live-action Mandalorian, Ahsoka series, maybe like the Thrawn movie, they'll clarify what's going on with Luke Skywalker a little bit more in this part of the timeline. There's no way they can do the Thrawn movie without including Luke Skywalker in some way, like he's not going to completely sit out a giant Star Wars movie. Then there's a much longer scene from the first couple of episodes with Hera in the Phantom with Chopper going after this freighter that looks like it's trying to bogart some technology from the New Republic, like in the shipyards they passed them decommissioning a Star Destroyer. This gets back to what the New Republic was doing during the events of The Mandalorian Season 3. Like in this part of the timeline, after Return of the Jedi, generally Mon Mothma issued an order that they would decommission all their old ships, not just the old Imperial ships like the Star Destroyers, but all the old Rebellion ships too, so that they could move forward with something that was completely new, like a New Republic era design language. Hera going after this ship, it looks like either some pirates or part of the Shadow Council, I think more likely, that are trying to steal New Republic technology. Like that's their whole thing that they talked about at the end of The Mandalorian Season 3. One of the heads of the Shadow Council, like one of the heads of the factions of the Shadow Council, was saying that why don't we just continue acting like rebels, stealing things from different space lanes? It's very, very profitable. Because this clip is right out of an episode, while this is happening, you also have Ahsoka fighting with the Inquisitor, Marrok, or former Inquisitor, and Thrawn's HK droids controlled by Morgan Elsbeth. I believe at this point early in the series, Thrawn himself hasn't actually come back yet. Morgan Elsbeth has just located him with the Jedi star maps, and they're trying to find a way to actually bring him back. My assumption right now is that he's just on the edge of the unknown regions, like he has the secret fleet that he discovered in the unknown regions and he's waiting to come back and he's just waiting for word from Morgan Elsbeth, his minion. Then they have a whole bunch of footage of Ahsoka and Grogu, Mandalorian, as well as Rosario Dawson talking about her own personal history with Star Wars, and a lot of Anakin Skywalker footage too, for obvious reasons. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna see all these characters at some point during the series, so you need to remember some of this canon. A lot of people also taking issue with the fact that she would not train Grogu, where she very clearly has absolutely no problem training Sabine Wren in the Force. But I think her in-universe explanation to Mando at the time why she couldn't train him because of his past trauma with Order 66 does make sense, because if you think about it this way, she didn't want to train someone who went through the same thing that Anakin Skywalker experienced. Now, obviously from a very different perspective, but she was talking about Anakin's past trauma with losing his mother. In the case of Grogu, her former relationship with Anakin Skywalker, Jedi Master, like she was so close to him, and he perpetrated Order 66, he very literally tried to kill Grogu and traumatize him. She obviously just felt like that was too much for her to deal with. She does not have any of that baggage with Sabine Wren. Now, like, Sabine Wren experienced problems, she had some trauma in her life, but not nearly on the scale of Grogu and Order 66 and what happened with Anakin Skywalker. Like I said, my episode 1 video will post late Tuesday night, and then my episode 2 video will post early Wednesday morning. Then after that, episodes will be weekly. Click here for that brand new Anakin Skywalker Ahsoka clip, and click here for my Doctor Strange 3 video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.